Iran has insisted that the United States meet its demands before the Strait of Hormuz reopens.
Italy's Meloni and Denmark's Frederiksen have published a joint statement rejecting what they called uncontrolled migration.
Iran has insisted that the United States meet its demands before the Strait of Hormuz reopens. A foreign ministry spokesperson said on Monday that it is up to the US to stop what he called illegal destructive actions.
مادامی که محاصره دریایی آمریکا ادامه داشته باشه طبق قطعنامه 3314 مجمع عمومی سازمان ملل متحد، محاصره دریایی از این جنس به مثابه عمل تجاوزکارانه است. مادامی که سایر نقض‌های آمریکا تداوم داشته باشه، خب شرایط لازم برای این که بگیم تنگه هرمز تبدیل به یک آبراه امن شده وجود نخواهد داشت.
Tehran has said it wants the US to lift the blockade, pay compensation for months of war damage, lift economic sanctions and release Iran's frozen assets. For his part, US President Donald Trump had warned on Sunday he was ready to let economic pressure mount against Iran, apparently backing away from more military strikes. Trump's comments come after Tehran set conditions over the weekend to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The waterway normally carries about 1/5 of global traded oil supplies. Its closure has become the war's most lasting consequence, driving global energy prices up. Meanwhile, Iran is holding separate talks with Oman over transit through the strait, including potentially a temporary shipping corridor.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected a US roadmap for the second phase of the Gaza peace plan, which militant group Hamas had already accepted. Following pushback from his far-right allies in the government and despite assurances Israel would not need to withdraw immediately, Netanyahu rejected the 15-point document presented by Trump's Board of Peace at the end of last month. He insisted that any withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza was conditional on Hamas being genuinely disarmed. The rejection came after Hamas announced its support for the plan and called on the United States to pressure Netanyahu not to obstruct the process for political and electoral reasons. The dispute presented a break from Trump by Netanyahu after the two also diverged over how to proceed with the war they started against Iran. Netanyahu faces pressure from his right-wing voters to reject the plan, which comes ahead of elections in October, where he's running even or trailing in some polls. A Ukrainian drone strike killed at least 13 people in Russia's Tatarstan region, one of Kyiv's deadly single attacks of the war. Regional authorities said 75 people were wounded in Nizhemkamsk, an oil refining hub more than 1,000 kilometers from Ukraine. Meanwhile, Russian artillery killed 5 people in a village in the northeastern Kharkiv region, according to Ukrainian officials. Russia's defense ministry said it had shot down 456 Ukrainian drones overnight, while Ukraine said Russia launched 126 drones in its own attack. The latest strikes came as both sides escalated long-range attacks this year, causing a spike in civilian deaths, according to the United Nations. Ukraine has targeted Russian oil facilities almost daily in recent months. President Volodymyr Zelensky said the campaign was intended to force Vladimir Putin to the negotiating table, saying Russia's war would increasingly be felt at home.
Italian Prime Minister Meloni and her Danish counterpart Frederiksen have published a joint statement rejecting what they called uncontrolled migration. The two leaders also vowed to protect what they called Europe's Christian cultural heritage and also called the third country return hubs for migrants. The only two female leaders in the EU, Frederiksen and Meloni, noted that despite coming from different political backgrounds, they are united by a shared commitment to defending Europe. The two leaders also raised concerns over rising crime rates, increased pressure on public services, and an erosion of public trust as direct results of illegal migration. The joint statement came as no surprise, given Frederiksen and Meloni have emerged as the EU's most vocal advocates for a tougher migration policy, which was put under further strain last month after tens of thousands of migrants from Morocco rushed the Spanish autonomous city of Ceuta, the vast majority of whom have since returned home. Following the incident, Italy and Denmark led an open letter to the EU institutions, signed by a total of 22 member states, calling for coordinated action to combat illegal migration.
Western Europe experienced its hottest June-July on record as climate change fuels a historic summer of heat, drought and wildfires across the region, the EU's climate monitor said on Monday. It comes as Europe, the world's fastest warming continent, saw the first 2 months of summer marked by successive heat waves and bone-dry conditions. Since it started in May, the intense heat has caused thousands of anticipated heat-related deaths, many wildfires, and a protracted drought. According to Copernicus, levels of soil moisture were, quote, significantly lower than in July 2022, when the last severe drought gripped Western Europe. Meanwhile, a wildfire threatening residential areas in the central Albanian city of Kruja was brought under control on Sunday following firefighting efforts. The wildfire, about 38 kilometers north of the capital, Tirana, had been burning since Saturday afternoon. Authorities said 3 military helicopters had been assisting ground crews in efforts to bring the blaze under control, with firefighting operations continuing both on the ground and from the air as steep terrain made access difficult. An Irish court has charged alleged cartel boss Daniel Kinahan with directing a criminal organization and remanding him in custody after his extradition from Dubai. The 49-year-old Irishman appeared in court after being flown back on Sunday evening on a government jet from Dubai on the basis of an arrest warrant issued by Ireland. Kinahan was alleged to be one of the leaders of a transnational group known as the Kinahan Organized Crime Group, or the Kinahan cartel. He faces charges for directing the activities of the group between October 2015 and April 2017. His family members were linked to a bloody gang war with another Irish organized crime group that U.S. authorities in 2022 said had resulted in 18 murders. A reward of up to $5 million for information leading to the disruption of the Kinahan organization or the arrest and conviction of Daniel Kinahan was announced at the time. Irish police, with the help of authorities in the UK, Spain and the US, have been pursuing members of the Kinahan organization for the past decade.
6 members of an armed group have been killed by Colombian forces, according to the country's newly elected president, Abelardo de la Espriella. In a statement, the far-right leader said the operation was intended to send a clear and forceful message to all criminals in Colombia.
No hay lugar en el que se puedan esconder cuando el Estado se decide. He dado instrucción precisa a la fuerza pública de adelantar todas las operaciones que sean necesarias, operaciones que estaban aguantadas por el anterior gobierno.
De la Espriella had vowed a major crackdown on criminal groups profiting from drug trafficking, a major part of his campaign. As Colombia has been experiencing its worst wave of violence of the past decade, De la Espriella has pledged to intensify airstrikes against guerrillas and drug traffickers operating in Colombia.
Ithaca, in the Ionian Sea off the western coast of mainland Greece, lies far from the country's most popular tourist destinations. Despite its crystal-clear waters and stunning coves, it has never been among Greece's established tourist hotspots. Now, however, following Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, fans of Homer and Odysseus are adding Ithaca to their travel itineraries.
I studied Greek when I was a child, and I studied The Odyssey. I like Odysseus, and this is my dream.
The mayor of Ithaca expects tourism to increase following the Hollywood film, although he says the full impact will become clear during the next tourist season.
ακόμη δεν υπάρχει μεγάλη επισκεψιμότητα στο νησί λόγω της ταινίας. Ο προγραμματισμός αυτός θεωρούμε ότι θα γίνει από του χρόνου, όπου η ταινία αυτή σιγά σιγά θα παίξει σε όλο τον κόσμο και έτσι όλοι θα μπουν στην διαδικασία για να έρθουν στο νησί.
Local business owners, however, are already seeing signs that the island is gaining international recognition following the film's release.
Ήδη με τους τουρίστες που έχω επαφή συζητάνε για αυτό το έργο, ότι κάτι θα γίνει. Άραγε αυτό έχει ήδη, παρόλο που δεν έχει παιχτεί σε όλα τα σινεμά, σε όλα αυτά, έχει ξεκινήσει μία διαφήμιση και μία αναγνώριση από τον κόσμο βάσει σε αυτό.
Souvenir shop owners have known for years what draws many visitors to Ithaca, none other than Homer and the Odyssey.
Έρχονται διότι γνωρίζουν για τον θρύλο του Οδυσσέα και του Ομήρου που έγραψε την Οδύσσεια και νομίζω ότι και αυτό περισσότερο, αλλά είναι και ένα πολύ όμορφο νησάκι.
The permanent exhibition Light on Homeric Ithaca presents archaeological finds that link modern-day Ithaca with Odysseus' legendary homeland.
I think it's a good way to get more people interested in Homer and in mythology in general, but it's definitely not accurate to the original text.
Από του χρόνου θα γίνει μια εντυπωσιακή αύξηση που μπορούμε να πούμε ότι θα είναι και τους μήνες που συνήθως είναι νεκροί. Δηλαδή τον Οκτώβριο, ίσως και τον Νοέμβριο ή τον Μάρτιο, τον Απρίλιο, που συνήθως είναι ήσυχοι μήνες στην Ιθάκη. Και πάλι θα καταλήξει ότι πίσω από αυτά είναι η ταινία του Νόλαν σε πρώτη φάση, αλλά πίσω από την ταινία του Νόλαν είναι ο Όμηρος.